Yeah, welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. The Supreme Court has ordered the Auditor General to, as a matter of urgency, begin the process of surcharging any person and or all persons who are found to have misappropriated public funds in their report contrary to law. The court also ordered that where applicable, criminal action should be instituted against accused persons by the Attorney General. The Supreme Court reached this decision after a pressure group, Occupy Ghana, instituted an action against the Auditor General. Joseph Akable was in court and now reports.
The group initiated the action sometime in June 2016. Now, this was after they had had series of engagement with the Office of the Auditor General, which they described as unsatisfactory in the arguments before the court. Essentially, their case hinged on Article 187 of the 1992 Constitution. Now, this is the provision that sets up the Office of the Auditor General. Specifically, they refer to Article 187(7)(b) of the 1992 Constitution that says, may disallow any item of expenditure which is contrary to law and surcharge. Now, their argument was that since the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution, the state had failed woefully to implement this aspect that is allowed under the Constitution to the Office of the Auditor General to retrieve money. They make the argument that since the promulgation of the Constitution, some 40 billion cedis in terms of expenditure from various state agencies has been reported by the Office of the Auditor General, yet no steps have been taken to retrieve the said money. The orders given by the court presided over by Justice Sophia Ekufo are three specific orders. First, it says the Auditor General must issue disallowance and surcharge in respect of all state monies found to have been expended contrary to law. Secondly, the Auditor General must take steps to recover all amounts lost to the state, and this covers private persons. And third, the Attorney General, I must say, must ensure enforcement of the orders, including criminal prosecution where necessary. And that was the decision given by the 7-member panel presided over by Justice Sophia Ekufo. Reporting for JoyNews, Joseph Akable, Supreme Court, Accra.
Joseph Akable with that reports there. Will be making efforts to reach Sydney Kesley Hayford. He is a member of the Occupy Ghana group to find out what all of this, what the group makes of all of this. But Joseph Akable joins me in the studio now because he also covered the case involving 2 Ukrainian and 2 Russians who are standing trial for breach of the Mining Act. We understand they were granted bail. Joseph, you're welcome. How are you doing?
Very well, Gifty.
All right. Well, tell us what went on in court about, involving the Russians and the Ukrainians who were involved in illegal mining.
So at the previous hearing, their lawyers had made arguments for bail. Essentially, they are saying that the law allows for them to be granted bail once they've indicated to the court they are willing to comply with court processes. They said they were willing to submit their passports to the court. They will come to court anytime the court fixed the date, and so there's no need not to grant them bail. As far as they are concerned, the police handling the case had concluded an investigation, for which reason they had decided to put them before the court, so they were willing to do so. But the point the judge made was that, after listening to both sides, the police disagreed with the application. They had wanted them to be kept on remand for some time. They're saying that they had more grounds to cover in terms of the investigation they were carrying out. But the judge says the court is inclined to grant it because they had indicated clearly that they will comply with the court, and that was enough a reason for them to be granted bail. So they've been allowed to go home. They are supposed to, the bail is to the tune of 200,000 cedis. They are supposed to get a Ghanaian surety, after which they submit their passport to the court.
What was their demeanor in court? A lot of people would associate or have associated illegal mining with the Chinese. If you're talking about foreigners, they've associated it more with Chinese, but Ukrainians, Russians, what was their mood?
The interesting thing about where they were arrested in the first place is that the arrest was caused by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who was doing a tour in the Ashanti region. When you got to that site, they were engaged in mining. Now, what we need to understand is that this is a legal mining site. Okay. It's a legal mining site. They have the license. But interestingly, they are supposed to be mining 75 acres. But they are mining as many as more than 500 acres. Wow. And that, when the minister got there, he was very upset and couldn't understand why instead of mining 75, they've gone to the extent of more than 500, and yet they are doing so. They had been warned a month ago, we are told. A letter had been written from the ministry directing them to stop, but they still went ahead to engage in that particular activity. Clearly, in flagrant disregard for the laws, expelling out mining in the country. So for each reason, they were picked up. But throughout the court process, they were very calm. In fact, last at the court hearing, when they made the application, when it was turned down, those who accompanied them looked a bit agitated that the court didn't pronounce on the application and rather set another date.
And are these Ghanaians or are they?
No, those who accompany them to the courtroom are not Ghanaians. They look like Ukrainians and Russians. If you look
so they look like their family members.
Yes, who accompanied them.
And they were agitated that the court did not grant them bail the first time they applied.
The first time, and rather fixed a different date to pronounce judgment on the application.
I see.
So this time around, I mean, there was a complete change in mood. The handcuffs were taken off their hands right after.
And they were happy.
Very happy. I mean, you can imagine.
When next do they go to court?
July 11, and at that hearing, we expect the state to formally present its case or tell its side of the story, bring witnesses if necessary.
Do we have any information about what they're likely to face? I mean, if this should go negative for them?
It depends. There are instances where they could be fined, but in terms of the custodial sentence, we are looking at 2, 3 and beyond. It could be possible. You recall even with the Aisha case when it appeared before the High Court, initially the concerns that groups like Occupy Ghana raised was how the charges were a bit soft when they intended to charge them under the immigration laws. But with the mining laws, the punishments are much stiffer. With the immigration laws, it's more or less often has to do with fines. But with this particular one, it comes along with custodial sentence.
I see. Interesting. Well, we're unable to reach Sydney Kisley Hayford at the moment, but since we're unable to reach him for his comments on their part of today's court proceedings, let me bring you in on this. Who was in court for them?
So in terms of a representative from the group made an appearance. He doesn't speak officially for the group, but the point they made was that this particular decision coming from the Supreme Court was a very good one for them. This is because it's a case that they have been following keenly. They have tried to engage the Auditor General's office over the years. They started somewhere in 2014. They wrote a series of letters reminding them that the Constitution allows you to surcharge someone who you've uncovered per your report, indicating that the person has done something that is contrary to the appropriate provisions. So why don't you go ahead and surcharge the person? You publish the report, the media, we ran with a report that the Auditor General's report indicates that someone has bought a car for 100 cedis or 200 cedis. It's all over in the papers and that ends it.
Yeah.
But the court case they took forward is that the law says that you can surcharge someone. So if we find out that you work with this company and you've done something that is wrong, they can surcharge you with it to repay the money to the state. And
you don't just go to jail. If you have to go to jail, you go to jail and you still pay.
Yes, yes. And the point is, they are saying that since 1992, when we had this constitution, per their calculation of the various Auditor General's report, about 40 billion cedis has been reported so far, and we've not retrieved a single dime.
So people just go to jail, come back and enjoy their booty.
Yeah. All
right, thank you very much, Joseph. Joseph Akablay has been in court observing those proceedings and bringing us up to speed on the details and the information and all that you need to know. This morning is, of course, at My Joy Online if you want to break it down for yourself and take your time to read. Thank you for passing through. Well, away from the courts, the Ghana Post Office will soon see a facelift and efficient use of its facility. Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, that's if assurances by Communication Minister Esla Owusu are affected. The minister visited the facility today as part of a familiarization tour of sectors under her ministry. Hannah Odame was with the minister in our report.
In 1876, the Ghana Post Office was established to offer these services: postal, financial, courier, retail and agency services. Over the years, however, there has been low turn of events, causing this particular facility to run in debt. Acting Managing Director James Kofi, however, tells me they are going to restructure the place.
We have to do some marketing and advertising. For this year, we are trying to put together, make our fundamentals better, so that when we come to you and we advertise, we can deliver on whatever we have promised to do. But within a short time, you will see our footprints in the area of e-commerce, financial services, and even with the traditional mail, doing a lot of improvements to make us more reliable. Most of all, we are hoping to have all our items have the ability to track within, say, 12 months from now.
The minister talked about restructuring. Which specific areas are you going to target and how?
Well, when we talk about restructuring, fundamentally we have to restructure our cost base. That will mean that we have to look at our people and see if the number of people that we have in-house is the right number and if it is fit for purpose. Fit for purpose means that do we have the right skills and capabilities? Where we are going now within the in the future, we need to have people who are customer focused, technology savvy, and as a business we need to be commercially oriented. So we'll look at a mix of the number and the skill sets to determine how many people we will need.
Communications Minister Esla Owusu Wednesday morning toured this facility after she described the Ghana Post Office as a gem that needs some polishing and restructuring. She assured that her ministry would take this task very seriously.
It appears that they're still sorting letters the way they did a few years ago. They've told me that some of the processes will not change because they are key to their operations. They need to go through that process, but they will automate a few of their systems with time. They've introduced scanners which scan the barcodes and so can identify the packages much quicker than they used to in the past when they had to do it manually. So there's some element of automation already, but they intend to scale it up, use more technology to improve their efficiencies and to reduce the incidence of missing, lost, misplaced, or misdirected mails and parcels. So I have assured the management that whatever we can do to also assist them, we will do that. Their speed and efficiency and improve the revenue streams of the post office as well.
The perception that the post office is no longer a facility to be used as a result of technology perhaps should be rethought.
Hannah Odami with that report there. Well, Ghana could be plunged into what can be described as power crisis one more time, and it won't be long. This is because Nigeria has again cut gas supply to Ghana, forcing some power producers to cut back production by up to about 50% of their capacity. Officials of Sunan Asogli power plant are now producing only half of its capacity today and planning to begin importation of their own gas. Well, here is the manager of Asogli speaking to an Accra-based radio station, City FM. We're unable to bring you that sound at the moment. Sincere apologies for that. Up next, by the way, is Sports on the Pulse. Please stay.